Good morning, everyone. This is Wednesday, the 8th of November. Universal Mind Radio, in conjunction with Wolf Spirit Radio, would like to present to you 1 hour of Earth Mind Meditation by Frank Jordan. Frank is accompanied this morning by the Earth Mind Healers Group. The focus of intent on today's show is to use Frank's subtle energy techniques to release and ease the stress of Mother Earth from land, sea, climate, and man-made changes around the world. Frank is from Boise, Idaho, and has been an empathic intuitive for many years. He is also in direct contact with galactic beings who are guiding Earth's transition into the fourth and fifth dimensions. Stephen is a separate higher consciousness of Frank that delivers information about the shift of consciousness to us. Stephen, through Frank, focuses frequencies on unconditional love into the world group mind that helps people do the necessary subtle energy clearing and DNA assemblage for ascension into dominion. He is also an active water, mineral, and missing persons dowser and healer. During our radio show on Sunday evening at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Frank teaches the universal laws of physics, which is metaphysics. A discussion is held by Frank where Stephen talks about subjects of interest to members of the audience. During the second hour, Stephen tunes directly into the listening audience where healing requests are made, guides the healings, and often gives insightful information about their situation. For further information on Frank, please visit his website at www.cytronics.com. That's PSI-TRONICS.com. Cytronics.com. You are also invited to set up a one-on-one appointment with Frank by calling 208-344-9188. Again, 208-344-9188. His email address is fljordan@cableone.net. Through his website, you can purchase books, novels, subtle energy lights, and of course, dowsing tools of many, many variations. Donations are always appreciated and can be made through the website of Wolf Spirit Radio, Cytronics.com, and of course, Universal Mind Radio. Now, please enjoy our show. Frank?
Good morning, everyone. Well, it's another beautiful day in the Pacific Northwest. Some storms moving in on the northwest coast, but otherwise it's a beautiful fall day. It's been unusually warm in this season. The trees are well into their turning and are beginning to drop, but that's unusual. Normally they're pretty well all cleaned out by the 1st of November. But the seasons roll along, and we have no choice but to roll with them. The request came in this morning that for a discussion about the subtle energy systems in the part that pertains to the Devic forces of consciousness and earth mind and how all of that works together. We'll go over it lightly this morning, but this may be something we'll pursue to a greater depth in our Sunday night show also. But to understand the Devic force of consciousness, you really need to learn how to access the subtle energy field. And that's what we do with our meditation process. When we take our awareness into our forehead, we're in the frontal lobes of the brain, in our active reasoning level of consciousness, and so all of our attention is focused there, and all it's focused on is pulling energy or information from the reticular at the base of the brain. So whatever the topic of concern is, that's what's coming up to be mentally associated and worked with. Anytime you want to remember something, you drop down into a deeper level of associative memory, some of which is stored in the brain, but most of it's stored down in the chakra system. And when you drop down through the chakra system, you're actually working in the subtle energy field. And it's the reticular at the base of the brain that translates information from just subtle frequencies of knowing It slows it down into standing waves that rise up through the reticular into the brain, where it associates in the various parts of our brain that creates our hologram of reality. But other than that, when you drop down into the lower regions, you're working with stored memory in the physical body, in the hard disk of your biocomputer, and every level of the chakra system is an ascending level of individualized consciousness. And the clearing work we do is directly associated with clearing any blocks or any limitations or any preconceptions or any patterning and programming that might limit that free flow of information that comes from the stored information in the chakras, or through the vibraports on the surface of the body that resonate out from the chakra system into the general consciousness of Earth mind or the world consciousness, depending on which level of the brain you're working with, whether you're working with soul consciousness or psychic consciousness, or stepping on further back into the subtle energy field and subconscious mind. So there's a lot of interesting little things you can learn about this, and the very first thing is that where you put your point of attention is just like putting or clicking the cursor on your computer. Whatever you click on with that cursor out of a whole field of information, that's what rises up through the system and into the desktop where you can work with it. And so this is what gives us awareness and of things, and pardon me, or the ability to access unseen, unknown information that's all around us and which we store in our biocomputer. There's two halves of your biocomputer, the high self above the heart, which is directly controlled by your indwelling soul. And the indwelling soul uses this to interact as human and for creating, for manifesting, for working directly with the polarities of the system to manifest and bring things into form, and to have an active, ongoing hologram of reality out here that we consciously can interact in. The second part is the low self below the heart, and the low self is everything of the past, where the high self is everything of the now and the future. The low self is everything of the past, and it is stored for survival. It's our animal level of consciousness. But it also is incredibly active in bringing information up through the reticular into the conscious mind, and it literally controls the body, the functions of the organs of the body and the whole system itself. And that's an instinct in consciousness. We don't have to think about it. It just goes on and supports life. But it also is, the low self is a great participator and the primary coordinator of our physical reality, where above the heart it's mostly mental, intuitive, spiritual information. Below the heart, it's directly involved in physical, all the physical aspects of life, and how to maintain life and how to maintain your protective fields and monitor threats and things of that nature. But below that is still the other deeper level of Earth mind. And Earth mind is also a chakra system. Earth has its own chakra system of 12 primary chakras and many sub-chakras, which is simply locations where information is stored in that grid of consciousness. Because far from being a solid physical Earth as we perceive it, it is actually a huge ball of energy fields that's creating a hologram according to its associated fixation or manifestation of minerals and things of physical nature. Now that level of consciousness is different from the subtle energy field that supports the higher level of consciousness. Because in both levels, it's a matter of stepping behind these levels to the subtle energy field, to the consciousness that holds everything in form. And that's the God force consciousness. It also opens up an entirely incredible realm of consciousness that even our scientists can't figure out. They're beginning to get a hint of it. And that's dark matter in the universe. Dark matter is what holds a different form of polarity of manifestation. It's, even though it is thought, just as everything that composes our physical reality and our mental, intellectual consciousness is a polarity, a balance of polarities. It is also, but it's a different form of polarity. And we can have absolute other worlds of experiential reality for the God force going on around us, and we can't perceive them because they are just in a different frequency range and a totally different form of reality than what we experience here in the physical field. Now, within all of this is what we really loosely call the subtle energy system. Within that is the Devic system, which is an individualized focused consciousness of the thought of the creator, whether it's yourself or someone else or God or the various levels of higher consciousness, whatever creates and holds in form a standing wave with thought. What thought does is inserts a polarity, a choice, a manifestation into a flat wave, so it becomes a standing wave. And those interacting standing waves are what becomes our physical reality out here. And everything in form is a standing wave of fixed reality. Now, the interesting thing about that is that thought intention creates a point of will, desire and will with intent acting on energy equals manifestation. And so that little bit of consciousness that holds the form of a desire or a manifestation is a Devic consciousness. It's just a name. It simply reminds us that that's the consciousness that creates and holds things in form. Now these can all be accessed because we do have free will, choice, and consciousness, even though we've forgotten 90% of what we know when we step down into this earth plane, or it isn't forgotten, it's just blanked out so we don't have access to it. It's reaching through into that Devic force of consciousness with your point of attention again. If you want to know about something, in earth mind, or in, say, even in conversation with animals, when you shift into this back inner state in your brain, go to that telepathic level, and with intent, if you're trying to talk to an animal or communicate with it, just come into resonance with it, and you'll feel your whole body shift in resonance to accommodate the animal you're trying to talk to or communicate with. And they feel that because they operate mostly on feeling, not on thought. And so the response is immediate, and with a little practice, you can call a dog from another room, for example, and he's right there ready to talk to you. It's amazing to watch well-trained dogs like sheepdogs, for example. I actually herded sheep a couple of summers, and my dogs were my best friends. They were just like an extension of myself, and we literally loved each other. And through that sharing resonance empowerment, they would do anything for me. Well, I won't get into that story now, but we'll explore that another time, how to do that. But we're looking now trying to understand Earth Mind and what it is. Earth Mind is another chakra system in a lower frequency octave having negative polarity in direct opposition to the oversoul octave, which has another 12 chakras. There's 36 altogether in our system. And the 0 point in our heart is what balances the positive higher polarity of our mental emotional body with the negative polarity of our low selves. If you can hold this thought in mind, if I'm not going too fast. And that high and low polarity is in direct resonance with oversoul polarity and undersoul polarity. And that's what creates the manifestation of all form and reality, the standing waves. And earth mind holds in the crystalline consciousness of the crust of the earth everything that ever occurs on earth, whether anything that has intelligence that is working within the energetic fields of earth creates a resonance. That intelligent originated from DNA that actually has the ability to manifest, to hold in form our physical reality, and according to the different species and our needs. And that physical reality resonance is stored in earth mind, in the silicon dioxide of the crust, just like a gigantic computer chip. And each species has its own morphogenic field of accumulated knowledge that it stores through the cycles and the generations and the evolution of time. And that's where the progression of life is stored, is in the silicon dioxide of the crust of the earth. And this becomes the instinctive consciousness of every species, whether it's a blade of grass, or a butterfly, or a bird, or a human. That instinctive consciousness is in the negative polarity range of our low selves. And so it's through our low selves that we can access the past, that we can access anything that ever happened in the progression of human consciousness, because it's all stored there. And it's an incredible thing to go back in time, even on a species or an animal or in its form, is to tune into its resonance and to follow it back in time. It's the evolutionary process. Archaeology and paleontology has always fascinated me, because I have that ability to follow things back in time and watch the different morphogenic field shift in the individualized consciousness in direct regard to whatever the environmental changes were or the necessities of life. And it's all driven by the DNA and its desire to experience and sustain life. So you do it with your intent by stepping back, finding a point of consciousness that you're searching for. And if you'd like, we can do that now with something, just to show you how that works. Think about a prehistoric animal. Of course, most of you flashed on the T-Rex, because that's the thing we seem to see the most. Realize that you have the TX genes within yourself. You have the memory of the associated consciousness of animals in that lifetime. So just take your awareness right straight back in your head now, back to the psychic center, then on back deeper into the subconscious center. And in the subconscious, just drop your resonance down through your body, down to the heart center. And the heart center is what opens everything up, gives us access. Now take a step further back into the subtle energy field. The subtle energy field that works as the source, the thought source of everything that comes into physical form. Now drop your awareness down through the root chakra, still staying back in the subtle energy field, down into earth mind, with the thought holding in your mind the visualization of a T-Rex dinosaur. Now there are genes within your own system, and you can feel them in every cell of your body that's associated with T-Rex. Now through that, we're in direct resonance with Earth Mind, going back 60 million years. And find yourself in a beautiful lush field of grass, on a plain bordering a lake, and see the various Paleolithic animals that are roaming around that region. And you can do this without fear. Now look over at the edge of the jungle-like trees that are there, and you'll see a T-Rex looking out through the edge of the trees, watching for prey. And he spots something, and he instantly darts forward and grabs a smaller animal. It's an animal that looks something like a pig, but it's much larger. Now you can actually feel the feelings of the T-Rex, since they operate mostly on feeling and instinctive consciousness. In that spot in Earth Mind, his attack of that animal is registered. Now feel that in your root chakra, and feel the horror, the pain of the attack on the other animal. And the fact that he got caught because he was not cautious enough is resonating directly into the Earth Mind, and all the other species, or members of that species that are alive, are responding to that. They all feel the attack. They've all learned the lesson, or reinforced the lesson, to stay alert, don't get too close to the edge of the forest. So let's step back from T-Rex. And just move your awareness down to the edge of the water. At the lake. And look at the abundance of life in this incredible paradise that was once Earth. Feel that wonderful paradise before humans came the first time. Now that's the paradise we're trying to bring back to Earth, back into this present time and space. So bring that beautiful oneness, that feeling of incredible life force with you, and come back into your own system now, bringing that feeling with you. Implant that feeling in your own system of the incredible vitality and beauty of life, even in the horrific moments of predators' necessity to sustain themselves. Realizing you have that predator within yourself also. And now bring your awareness Oh, you don't want to come back. Come on, guys, come on back. Come up back into the subconscious mind, back into the psychic center, back up into the soul center, back into your frontal lobes. And notice you still feel that incredible beauty that Earth was when it was purely a non-human paradise. Well, we have the opportunity and the responsibility of bringing that back again, but including humans this time. And that's what our movement into Dominion is all about. Now feel something else that's resonating through you. It's a wonderful feeling of love, unconditional love. That is the life force. That is the God force. That 30 million years ago was just as strong and dominant as now. Maybe even more so, because we've lost so many species. Well, let's get back on our daily path here now, if I can find my thread of thought to get back.
Can I ask a question, though?
Sure.
With clearing Earth Mind, so, for example, if we do a clearing of an event, let's say it's clearing issues between family members, and we want to clear Earth Mind, let's say in that under their house or wherever they reside, what process would you use to clear Earth Mind of that disharmony?
Simply tune into the place and time where that disharmony was resonated into the earth, and because your point of awareness there, you can feel it. You feel the negativity that occurred, or whatever the program was, and because you're there in resonance with it, you can release that pattern. Because everything is held in patterns of energy, standing waves, divas holding that form. So when you drop into that state of negativity in the family, you feel it, the ambience with the home or the alcoholic father, whatever the situation is, you simply drop your awareness down into Earth Mind. It's just extend yourself down through your spine, with your point of attention being on accessing the crystalline consciousness of that family that's stored there. And you, with your will and desire and resonance, alter that. You either release the standing wave, and the devils are there to respond to you to do that. That's their job, is to hold the form, hold the form, hold the form until they're told something different. And when you will something different, they immediately release it. And if you create an opposite thing of love and beauty and harmony in the home, they immediately pick that up, and that becomes a standing wave. Remember, Devic consciousness is simply a pattern, a form of consciousness that has the ability to hold the form of standing waves. But it becomes an aspect of consciousness itself. When enough of those come together through choices by, people, for example, we create a morphogenic field of common consciousness where everyone believes the same thing the same way, and they respond to things the same. That's the value of communities, is communities who understand this can alter the reality of their experiential resonances and of their moments of now, and resonate that into the future. That's how we change. and literally manifest new realities. And the more people come together, just like we are here on Wolf Spirit Radio, the more we focus on desirable realities, the more Earth Mind responds to it and helps to manifest that. And we see this happening all over the world right now, just in response for the little intention and work that we do. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Speaking of which, we better get along with our daily business. I looked at the weather patterns. There's not much we can do there right now. We're in the fall pattern. That's what we asked for. And a good fall pattern that's not causing any problems, at least on the West Coast. So we'll go directly into the earthquake grid and reinforce our golden shield. Take your awareness up in your forehead and step right straight back. The first thing you feel is the will center. So reach out to the other members of the World Healing Group and Wolf Spirit Radio. And feel the morphogenic field we've created. That force of consciousness that has power of unified thought and intent that becomes a powerful force in working with the other fields, morphogenic fields of the world. Because we do it with objective and awareness of what we're doing, we can have incredibly positive, powerful effect in releasing negativity from these other more subjective fields that just operate on their programmed consciousness, whether by conscious thought or instinctive thought. All right, step on back a level deeper now into the psychic center. It's through this where we can communicate directly with individuals. Step on back deeper into the feel that feeling of expansion. That's the subconscious mind that allows us through frequency resonance to access the chakra system. Drop your awareness down the spine now through the chakras to the 0 point. Recognizing that the 0 point is that bit of aspect God force consciousness, our individualized piece of God, so to speak, that holds the form of our physical realities through direct resonance with the DNA in our bodies. I drop on down deeper, down the spine, to the root chakra. And this time as you go into Earth, be thinking about the devas, that force of consciousness, because it'll recognize your thought and intent when you direct your thought to them. Now we take our awareness to Southern California and the earthquake grid there. Now just tune in to the earthquake grid and feel the general Devic force of consciousness. There's many levels, layers of those. But what we want is the one that generally is managing the movement of the earth masses and the fault lines there. So just pick that up now and feel the stress building in the fault lines and lift that up your spine. It's an energy build up, a pressure. It's ready to release. Lift it up your spines. Up through the root chakra, out through the crown chakra, out through oversoul, into the ionosphere. And just pour that energy into the ionosphere, creating a shield around the earth, in the golden grid, we call it. Feel that grid strengthen. And one of the things we want to direct our golden grid to do today, because it's the morphogenic field of consciousness also, we want to direct the Devic forces holding that form to be strong, because there is a 30% chance of Class X sunspot energy hitting us through this weekend, 70% of Class M, which could do some damage. So we just simply look from this point of now into the future of the sun, looking at the sun, feeling those energies building up on the sun, and looking to the future of that burst. We spread it around the golden grid, above the ionosphere, in the magnetic field, take it around the earth and out the other side. And also we can communicate directly with the sun itself. And so from our heart center, we send to the heart center of sun. This is the source of all of our energy and our life itself. We direct the intent or the request to please hold the energy in its necessary work of releasing energy, that it carries the flares on around the earth a little ways, releases that energy out in space where it won't be detrimental to us or any other planet. By utilizing that intent and strengthening our golden shield, we won't experience any problems. Sustain, sustain, sustain. Now bring your awareness back into Southern California. Move northward to San Diego. Lift those stress energies upward. On northward to Los Angeles, San Francisco, up to the Oregon line. And we swing our attention eastward to southern Oregon, to east, southeast of Lakeview, Oregon. There's been ongoing activity of some primal shifts there. So we lift that energy up to clear that so there's not a destructive force built up in that region. Now we move southward to the Sierra Nevada mountains. It's a thrust fault zone. It's in continuous motion, so we harmonize, release that energy in a harmonic tone. All the way down to Los Angeles. And we move eastward into that grid that stress thrust faults that created the Rocky Mountains. Northward to Salt Lake City. And I'm getting a warning somewhere in that region. There's a stress buildup, like enough to create damage, 4 point or above, so we lift that energy upward. Lift it upward, through the crown chakra and out, As we move on northward now to the Yellowstone Caldera. Lift the energy of the caldera. And here again you can feel the Devic forces simply by tuning into the caldera. You can literally become one with it. And so, indirect, I lose the power of thought when I do this. Lift the energy up through the Devic forces out through your crown chakra. Okay. That's really good. Now allow that to continue, maintain, sustain, sustain, sustain. Now move our awareness to the Pacific Northwest. A lot of scattered activity up through the Cascade Mountains, upon the Washington Peninsula. I feel some stress there also. Feel that at the base of the brain. That's the buildup of could be a major earthquake. Lift that upward and release it. All right. Harmonize the fault itself. Lubricate it so it slips easily and releases that stress buildup. There, that's better. Sustain, sustain, sustain. Now move northward to Alaska. Lift those energies upward. Multitude of minor to mid-range, all the way down through the Aleutian Trench. To Kamchatka Trench, down to Japan. Did a 5.3 at Maki. That's just offshore from the reactors. So we take that energy upward, spiraling it upward, picking up the radioactivity in the reactors, transmuting it into beneficial energy for the golden grid. Move your awareness southward to the Philippines. Several volcanoes active. All the way south. To Indonesia. Into the Java Trench, Java Crescent. Release those that are more or less standard. They're active all the time, but we take the energy away from them. Now move eastward to New Guinea. There's a 6.6. At Finch in Halfman, Papua New Guinea. That's a major one. Lift that upward. Continued eastward from there to Tehran, Papua, then on to Tonga, where there's a 7.1 at the Nidoe Island. This always happens on any week. We don't spend too much time or any meeting clearing or releasing those energies. Next time there'll be some big ones breaking out. Now go to South America, Andes Mountains in general, clearing through the old ancient volcanoes, the present active ones, all the way up to Central America, then across to the Dominican Republic, scattering of minor activity, and up to the Mediterranean, to Iceland, 5.2 west-northwest of Hoffen in that volcano, lifted upward. South to Mediterranean, to Greece. There's an ongoing 5 at Lazuron, Greece. It could be building up to a major volcanic eruption. Lift that upward. Eastward to China, there's nothing showing, but just in general, lift stresses from China. Now eastward to the Hawaiian Islands. There's, on the big island, there's ongoing activity all over the island. Lift those upward. That just shows movement of magma. But it's not just in the measures, it's happening all over under the island. That brings some concern for the future. Now move eastward to the point of beginning, Southern California, on to Oklahoma. There's a intensity increase there again. These minor earth movements triggered by the fracking is stimulating other activity. And on eastward into the Appalachians. Now back to our point of beginning. Lift our awareness upward. Let go of the earthquake grid. Notice it's hard to let go of it this morning because we've focused our intentions on the Devic consciousness. So release that now. Come back into your own spine, our own human center of awareness, and look at the world, consciousness and situation. And we see the financial system bring energy into it, dominion energy, stimulating dominion in the financial structure, and it's progressing very well. And one thing, the world having to work with the financial structure and system below the levels of the controllers and dominators in the banking system, it's making every country reach out and directly communicate in a manner that inspires dominion. They are responding to our thought, our intent in the galactic flow. So let's bring in the galactic flow now through your hands, through the back of your head, out your hands, and put your hands an inch or so apart, move them back and forth, and build a field of energy there. And visualize that being as the globe of the world. And visualize a tremendous communication system that's developing through the financial structure in the world now. Mike, can you give us any insight into that, into how we're progressing?
Well, we continue to see just complete out of control, kind of money or credit creation, money printing with abandon, and I think we're near end stages where they see no alternative except to keep asset prices rising and to keep the good times going, and any stumble could throw serious doubt into the population about whether or not what they're doing has been the right thing. So I think we're in a very precarious position. The word that I've heard a lot in the last week is complacency, where nobody thinks that anything really material can change, or that this is just we're just kind of on this permanent, semi-permanent, wave of credit and money, and I think it's not going to last.
All right, then we send a force of energy into it, prompting them to keep on moving ahead, responding to the galactic flow, stimulating them to keep on creating a laterally focused system, structure, grid, and away from the vertically structured one of the Illuminati. It's hard to put a focus on that because it's so scattered right now. So let's pull it together into a positive intent for the world consciousness grid. And pour that energy through your hands into the globe that you're holding in your hands now. From your heart, direct dominion into that globe. This is implanting thought and power and direction into a form that's symbolic of the greater form. This is positive, where if we were doing it with voodoo, it would be negative.
We need to use the word true dominion.
True dominion. Let's also direct energy to the battlefields of the world, where the the opposition forces, those that have a thought or an idea or a concept of working for the country like the Iraqi army is. The realization they are creating dominion in Iraq and Syria. Give them empowerment and the dedication, the force of intent to clear ISIS out of the countries. And we see the world reset occurring in the financial world and the RV occurring. And we see the RV occurring now, coming into manifestation. That triggers the world reset. All right, bring your awareness back into your own system now. Thank you, everyone, for participating. Joan, I know you had a word, but we will do that tomorrow night. I want to invite everyone to participate in our class tomorrow night at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. It should be an interesting show. There's a lot of new information coming through. Thank you very much, everyone, for participating, and so it is.
This is Universal Mind signing off for today. We back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific. Thank you for listening.